in here had been chopped so deeply, I was taking in water through my nasal cavity and it was going into my lungs. The whole lagoon around me was filling up with blood very quickly.
You had to sit there for 24 hours, and most of them thought you were going to die. I've talked to a lot of them. They thought you weren't going to make it.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Skillshare.
Morning.
What's going on this morning?
Well, Rockstar pulled up. Danny on Rockstar said he would sit down and talk with us about his accident. So I'm trying to get some good tips on doing a good interview. I've done one or two in the past, but I didn't really like how they turned out. So getting the camera set up and getting some tips on Skillshare. We're going to go over there in a minute and talk to Danny about his unfortunate run-in with a dinghy.
Sounds exciting. He's lucky to be alive.
He really is. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great.
Happy Halloween.
Oh yeah, it is Halloween.
It is Halloween.
Cool. Hold on. Yeah, right there.
You untied before you started the engine. That's a no-no. There you go. If you're wondering what I was referring to, Skillshare is an online community offering tons of classes where folks like me and you can learn something new or just get better at something we already know a little bit about. We're going to go interview Danny from Rockstar and hear about his story. A Skillshare membership is less than $10 a month, and with new classes being offered all the time, you won't find a better price for in-depth learning. To get prepped for this interview, I sat in on Joey Dowd's class about crafting the perfect video interview. So I've got all my gear and my notes, and I'm ready. So stay tuned and let me know what you think. Oh, I almost forgot. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. So hop over there after the video and explore your creativity. Leave me a comment and tell me what you're going to learn. Now, back to your favorite song.
I tell you a story about me and you. Out on the water, surrounded by the blue. They scream that only I'll be saved. They toss off the line that I just let it float away. I'll let it float away. I'll let it float away. I'll let it float away. Float away, float away. Yeah, I'll let it float away. I'll let it float away. I'll let it float away.
Hey guys, welcome to the show today. Today we're going to be talking to Danny Round from sailing vessel Rockstar. He's a kiting friend of ours, sailor friend of ours. We've sailed with him since New Zealand. In the Pacific this year, two of our friends, Danny, one of them, got injured by his dinghy, and another young man named Eddie got killed by a dinghy in French Polynesia. And today we're just going to talk with Danny about his incident, what he went through, and what's going on, and how he survived that. It was a pretty brutal incident, and he's lucky to be alive. There's going to be a lot of pictures in this, slide pictures that you'll see, and you may want to warn your children because some of these could be a little grotesque and a little out there, but it just shows the damage that even a small dinghy motor can do to you if you get hit by it. So with that going on, we're going to interview Danny, and we're on his boat out here in Fiji in Musket Cove. Hey Danny, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, it looks like you're getting better.
Getting better, yep.
You growing the beard up to cover Scarface?
Oh yeah, I was actually going to get the chops, you know.
Yeah.
Gonna go the handlebars.
Yeah. Well, Danny, how long's it been since your accident?
It was on the 13th of last month. Yeah.
So we are about a month and a half away from it.
Yeah.
All right. And Danny, you're from New Zealand?
I am, yep, Kiwi.
And 32 years old?
32.
What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? How do you live out here? Give us a little background about yourself.
I'm a chef by trade.
Okay.
Been studying since I was straight out of school, and I progressed onto super yachts. So I work on boats around the world, cooking food on yachts.
Danny, take us back to the day of the accident down in, and you were in Fulanga?
Yep, we're in Fulanga out in the Lao group, very remote part of Fiji. On the early Sunday morning, we all got invited to go to church. We went to church. I was in there for, sort of about an hour. Ducked out, wanted to go out and explore the islands a little bit. Walked back. I remember it being a beautiful sunny day at the village. Colours were amazing. I got back to the dinghy. The wind was about sort of 20-25 knots and building. I went for a bit of an explore around all the little tiny islands and inlets, sort of just killing time waiting for the guys to come back. Realised that it was going to be a bit of a waste of time, so I was on my way back to the vessels. It was about sort of a 10-15 minute dinghy ride to get back to the boats. I came around a headland, started heading into the wind. A good steady 25 knots at that point, with a good sea state of maybe 1.5 to 2 feet of chop. And my idea of trying to handle that sea was to get the dinghy on the plane and skimming across the top of it, using the wind to lift the dinghy and make it a fast and slightly more comfortable ride, with having my kill cord on, obviously. Unfortunately, I was going a little bit too fast and I got a gust of wind underneath the V of my boat, and it started lifting, the whole bow started coming up. There I throttled off. It dropped the dinghy down hard, smacking into a wave, sending the dinghy, the V of the hull, sideways and throwing me completely over the front of the dinghy.
Right.
Where my hand on the tiller like that came straight off, and the kill cord just slipped straight off my wrist, because I've now found out that that's not how you're supposed to wear it.
Right.
You're actually supposed to clip it to something on your body, like a piece of clothing or a strap.
Well, we all do that.
I know.
I mean, I do the same thing. I put the thing around my wrist.
Yeah, just like a choker cord.
That's right.
Didn't have the sufficient grab on my wrist. I went flying over the front. The dinghy automatically turned and kept going about sort of mid-throttle. I went down head first, and it hit my ankle, then my hand, done big damage on my hand here, ligament damage there, all the way up my chest and then up through my face, and yeah, got all the way up into my forehead. And then I came up out of the surface and saw the dinghy just wildly doing these big jump spins.
Right around you.
It was, by that time, I think it hit me and then kind of was about sort of 3 or 4 meters as it was doing the spins away from me. So I slowly started making my way towards it, studying its movements, seeing if it was possible for me to attempt to get back on board, knowing that I'd sustained injuries, but obviously didn't know how bad. As I swam up to it and studied it for probably a good 10 minutes, then I started realizing that the whole lagoon around me was filling up with blood very quickly. I started realizing that because in here had been chopped so deeply, I was taking in water through my nasal cavity, and it was going into my lungs. Yeah, all of that 10 minutes seemed to last forever. I was very conscious, I was very aware of everything happening. Then I came to the conclusion that the dinghy, I couldn't get anywhere near it. This thing was literally jumping out of the water, spinning around in circles. It was so light. So I was like, I'm getting further away from the boats. I'm calling it. I'm leaving the dinghy. I turned around and I started swimming into the water, into the chop, and that was when it really started filling me up, like it was coming in through my nasal passage so quickly. At that point, 2 cruising friends that were on another cruising friend's boat saw my dinghy doing out of control spins, jumped in their dinghy to come and figure out what was going on. Then they saw me in the water. What felt like I was swimming for 30-40 minutes was only about probably 10 or 15 minutes. and they scooped me out of the water, and I don't think I would have lasted another 10 minutes in the water.
Wow.
I could already feel that I was like struggling to stay above the surface.
So the doctors put you on their boat, kind of put everything together because
Yep.
your face was kind of half off.
Literally, it was
And
hanging
they
off.
put-
Like at that point, I literally just had a rag tied around my head. I couldn't see. From that point, I couldn't see. Couldn't
Right.
see at all.
You got a steel plate in the top of your head here now?
Yep, got a skull fracture there, which they attached. They put a plate in to try and pull the brake out away from my brain. Everybody came together and was formulating plans because I couldn't see, so I could hear very well. My senses for hearing was really good, and I could hear the radio chatter was just going. Like there was just plans being made to make the best choices. It was unfortunately Sunday. It was very hard to get hold of anyone.
Right.
But the Navy was informed. They deployed straight away and sent a vessel up from Suva that afternoon, and they arrived the next morning.
Right.
We managed to get hold of helicopter pilot, so I spent the night on the doctor's boats. Leslie, a crew of mine on board, stayed with me, and also another cruising friend stayed on board the doctor's boat while they literally done vital signs and just fed me sugary water out of a syringe.
Right.
And I just coughed up all of the blood and all of the salt water that I'd inhaled. It was a pretty uncomfortable night. I'm not
So
going to
that,
say
so that was probably, going back to that evening, you had to sit there for 24 hours waiting on either a helicopter to get there or the Navy boat to get there.
Exactly, yeah.
And so the other cruisers in the community were, and Leslie was keeping watch over you.
Yeah.
Most of them thought you were going to die. I've talked to a lot of them. They thought you weren't going to make it.
Yeah. I was like, just go put me back on Rockstar. I'll go quietly. I'm happy to go.
Yeah.
I've lived a great life so far.
Yeah. And so the next morning came, and helicopters, they don't fly without payment, do they?
No, they do not.
And so some of the cruisers came together, put a GoFundMe site together for you.
Exactly, yeah.
And was able to get some of the money or a lot of the money to pay for the helicopter ride and some of the
Yep.
medical expenses, but you still got a lot more medical expenses to go.
Yeah, like a lot of the procedures that they done in Fiji was amazing. Like they done a really great job. The doctors and the hospital and everything was amazing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of procedures that they can't accommodate. They didn't really have the right tools, and that's all the finishing stuff, like
Yeah.
all of the,
Making you pretty again.
well, yeah, and making my nose work again.
Yeah.
Like I crushed my entire right side of my nasal, and so they put me all back together to make me survive.
Yeah.
But I've still got a fully blocked nasal. When my left side, every now and then my left side blocks up, and I can't sleep. I can't do anything physical
Right.
because I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
And it's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Danny's passion is exploring the world by boat. So as soon as he was able, he was back out on Rockstar. Back out on the water, fishing, swimming, and kiteboarding. But unfortunately, there are a few things still left undone.
So you got to go back to New Zealand and get all that fixed.
Yeah, going back to New Zealand, I've also got to get my jaw. My jaw has to be broken, and 3 lower teeth have to be moved and put back into place, which unfortunately is turning into quite a big procedure. But yeah, I mean it's all doable, and I'm here to live another day. So
Looking back on it now, what have you learned from all this? What's your thoughts and what's your takeaway?
Like straight off the bat, I learnt that I obviously de-accelerated too fast, but also just I didn't probably need to be going that quick. I didn't need to be pushing the limits quite that hard.
Yeah.
So I pushed the limits until I found the end of them, and this is what has happened. And yeah.
And for those of you guys out there, Danny's like this kiting season up here in Fiji. He hangs with all of us older guys that are kiting and our kids. And Danny is a rock star when it comes to kiting. You say all the tricks you see in all of our videos where the guys are jumping really high and doing bad tricks. That's Danny. Most of the time, that's Danny up in the air, hanging upside down. And last time in the last video you saw, Danny was in there, and this is post-accident. And he was doing all these tricks. He's getting back. His healing's been it's been phenomenal. How he's come back just a month and a half. He's throwing big tricks again. He's out there kiting big again, and he's just rebounded. It's unbelievable how quick he's rebounded out here.
And the process of the healing, like you say, it's gone really fast. It's so much of it's up here. It's all positive thinking, and just being eager to get back out there and really making your mind work for your body, which is a massive thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's been great experience for my mind. It's been a lot of building.
Yeah, I bet.
Thanks to the amazing community of compassionate souls, Danny's been given a second chance to get back out on the water. If you want to help, you can find his GoFundMe link in the description below.
Hats off to Danny. He's done a good job out here, and we wish you all the best, Danny.
Thank you very much.
And guys, once again, we appreciate everybody watching, and we look forward to seeing you guys out there on the water.